Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Sorry, a little bit late going live. It's me. I've got the man flu. I've been diagnosed with the man flu. So the family have been round, we're lighting candles, and I'm saying my goodbyes, essentially. So not feeling very well. Sorry, a little bit late. Loads to talk about on the show today. Delap to Chelsea completing. We're going to be looking at Gyokeres and Rodrygo. Arsenal well in the hunt, pushing hard in those deals, but it now appears Chelsea are going to attempt to sweep in and take them away from Arsenal. Manchester United, what's the next step after missing out on Delap? Talks reportedly in Napoli over the last few days for a potential move for Victor Osimhen, plus United putting all of their Delap money into their pursuit of Mbeumo from Brentford. We're looking at City that could be about to complete a midfield madness with Reinders and Shrieking. Plus, we're asking a big question. Has Thierry Henry become toxic towards Arsenal? And if so, why? Also looking at the Champions League and the fact that there are barely any champions left in it. Is the Champions League, although it's a brilliant format, we all loved it this season, has it become a little bit of a farce? We're having that debate all in the next hour and a half. We've got a wonderful panel. We've got, obviously, Tom Little and Chris representing Liverpool on the show today. We've got Kate back with us again. Dan, the big Chelsea fan, is here after celebrating, completing the set last night. And Double A, back by popular demand. Great to have another United fan on with me. I need a bit of help. You know what I mean? It's one isn't enough for the protection that we have to face these days. You know what I'm saying? We need Secret Service level cover when it comes to.
You just want someone to share your pain.
That's kind of it, mate. That's kind of it. Normally, I've got Henry Wright here, who's a bit of a. Do you know what I mean? But he said he can't come on at the moment because things don't look good for Arsenal and he doesn't want to ruin his brand. So he said he can't be here today. But that is a joke, by the way, people. It's not real. I don't know why he's not here. I don't organise the guests. As arrogant as that sounds.
We don't really stick the knife in anymore either, which is a bit weird. We kind of stopped doing that now as Liverpool fans as well.
Well,
it's lightly with us.
Man United have become so bad that people don't actually banter us that much anymore. There's some beauty in that. I mean, we shouldn't have had an open top parade the other day. We shouldn't have done that, to be fair. Well, it wasn't really. It was 4 players doing a sponsorship thing, but they should have.
That's not the most egregious one. Why have you got your players on some scooters asking fans to pay for them so they can get back to the hotel?
Yeah. Do you know what I will say? I'm not just defending footballers, my players. I'm defending all footballers. I used to work with them. If you remember, when these guys used to retire, they used to bank with us still. They would phone us up at the bank, 35, 36-year-old men, and go, excuse me, yes. Because this all used to get done for them by their club. I've got to pay my council tax bill. What do? I need some washing being done. How do I do this? They'd ring up for the most obscure things. Like, bro, we're a bank. Maybe we can help you pay a bill. But it's because from the age of 15 until they retire, the club does everything for them. So yeah, honestly, footballers are some of the most pampered people in the world. They are really bad with life skills. But yeah, it isn't. We've got loads to talk about today. And obviously, I wanted to start off with the Delap deal that has now completed. We'll come on to Chelsea's element in this in a moment, people. I wanted to look at it from Man United's perspective to begin with and link it into the other stories. But Double A, how are you feeling about this? Happy, frustrated, annoyed that United haven't got it over the line?
I'm going to be one of them people that you hate because it's twofold for me. Because he's not the striker I wanted at United, so I am happy with that because I think. And it's hard to say we should be going for better because of where we are. You know, we're 15th place, no Europe next season, absolutely skint. You know, we're on clear play now, never mind Klarna. So it's like the club have obviously gone all out to try and get the lap. And I think Wilcox was very confident of getting this over the line. And we've been gazumped. Obviously, you know, Chelsea have gone and shown the knickers, and it's obviously a better proposition than what Manchester United is right now. So I think in that aspect, you have to look at it as frustration for the club because now it's like, where the hell do we go in terms? Because we need a 9, and I don't think Mbeumo is going to lead the line. I don't think Cunha can lead the line, but we need a striker. I think you saw, if anyone saw that clip of Højlund yesterday, I mean, the worst player I've ever seen play football. Never mind play for Manchester United. But he's not the player I wanted, and I think the reason for that is because we don't need another project striker. And I think bringing a 22-year-old who's had a decent season in the Premier League, not a great season, a decent season, yes, for Ipswich, we can't bring him to Manchester United, who are struggling to score goals against Asian All-Stars, and expect them to hit the ground running in the Premier League next season. So I'm happy. I think I'm happy because it's not the player I wanted, but at the same time, now I'm worried because it's like, where the hell do we go, and who do we go and get for the number 9 position?
You've got Hong Kong tomorrow, so you might score some goals.
Well, we didn't score yesterday. So I don't know if we'll score tomorrow either, mate. I think we'll be struggling again.
The thing is,
Do
if
you
you
think
say
there's
you're
no-
in, how can you be going for like a £51 million Osimhen?
How can we not though, Kate? I think that's
Wages.
what we need to ask. We need them. Yeah, we're just gonna have to offer stupid. I think Cunha's getting put up to 100. Is it 200 grand a week from 120? I think and sadly we've become everything we used to mock Manchester City for, being a mercenary club and just having to throw money at players to get them through the door. Never thought I would ever say that, but that's exactly where we are right now. And it goes against everything that they were trying to do. I think they were looking to bring young players in, project players in, with a mix of experience. And now it's just going to have to be a case of getting anyone we can through the door with a little bit of experience, because we need 7 starters this summer. It can't be Cunha and then 3-4 project players. We need 7 starters to put the crap we've seen this season on the bench. That's what we need. And Cunha was a great start in that, but I don't think we're going to do it. I just don't trust that we'll be able to do that at all.
I think that's the thing for a lot of United fans. It's trust, because the reports that have come out in the last sort of 12 hours since it looked as though Chelsea were getting Delap, which is now confirmed, is that United will put their energy into Mbeumo, but Newcastle are the favourites still with the bookmakers to land him. There are these talks that have come out of Italy, to be fair, that United's chief negotiator, Matt Hargreaves, has been in Napoli trying to structure a deal, cash plus Højlund. I mean, as much as people will laugh, the Italian clubs do want Højlund. So it's one of those things where I think that's where we've got to try and utilise a league that are looking at Højlund thinking, well, he can do a job here. He might not have worked in the Prem, but there's an opportunity for him in a different league with a different kind of pace to it, as an example. But we've got this is where Ineos will lose so much faith. There are people that have despised them since day one. I'm just like this with people in general. I'm going to give you some leeway. I'm going to give you some rope. But you might hang yourself with it at the end of the day. And missing out on the lap in isolation, for me, isn't the end of the world as a United fan. It's what the reaction is. Say tomorrow we get a here we go and we've jumped ahead of Newcastle, we get Bryan Mbeumo. I know we still need a number 9. I'm less concerned. But if Mbeumo goes to Newcastle, if Osimhen ends up going to Saudi or wherever it is, Ekitike looks like it's going to be Liverpool or Chelsea. Gyokeres looks like it's going to be Arsenal or Chelsea, and we'll get into those deals later. If we don't start landing players that can genuinely move the needle for us, that's the issue. I'm not expecting signings that win us the league this summer. You've got Mateta that people are talking about now. Let's go and get him. Well, I still don't think he is exactly what we need in the long term, but he is so much better than what we have, and we need people that move the needle. And our starting point is a lot lower than other clubs, but that's what I'm a little bit concerned about as well. I agree with you, Double A. It's what is the reaction going to be from the owners? Who are they going to go and land? And what can we do? And I just hope that there are a few rumours today that Wilcock and co are really confident of getting Delap, and this has come as a bit of a shock to them. I hope this hasn't come as a bit of a shock. I hope that's just media talk, because if it is, then they're fucking deluding themselves. So that's more my concern than anything.
I mean, who's that lad who scored against you yesterday? He's not a bad little fella. He's got more about than Island.
I don't know, Delap gives me Mychoo vibes. I don't know. I think he needs one more year, like in the Prem, for the big move. But I don't know. Mychoo scored loads of goals, didn't he, for Swansea when they went down? And then what happened to him?
I don't
know.
He's a good player, Delap, but is a decent season at Ipswich, where there was no pressure, enough to show that he's ready for this jump to the pressures of these top clubs? Well, he's going to Chelsea now, but the pressures of a Chelsea or a United, I don't know. At least Chelsea have another striker there in Jackson who will, take a bit of the pressure off. But if he went to United, everything was on him, because absolutely no one has faith in Højlund. and very few have faith in Xerxes. So the market that United can shop in is even worse as well. Because if we're being genuinely honest, how many projects in the Premier League are worse than Man United in terms of the immediate future?
None.
Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like
They are bad. It is a bad project.
you're talking about Mateta. There's an argument to say being at Palace is better for him for the next 2 years in terms of ambition and in terms of where that club could potentially go with the manager and with the squad than where United is, because of the sheer amount of upheaval that Manchester United squad needs.
Maybe. I'll be honest with you. As much as I'm angry with Ineos and the Glazers, I'm still not going to think in 3 years' time Palace are going to be a bigger or better or more attractive club than Man United. With all due respect to Palace, as much as they are better on the field of play than us right now, I don't think Mateta would turn down Man United if we could get Palace to a decent deal.
No, I think he would for next season. You think if he's in Europe, he's in the last year of his contract. If he has a good season in the Europa League, you can go and get a free move.
Well, that's fair. That's fair, but that's not him staying for Palace. That's him going to Man United. But not my next move. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's not him coming to us. But I think that's why I think he would prefer Palace over us for definitely for next season. But
you probably need to get him now, though. He's like 27, isn't he?
27, yeah.
I agree. You don't want to be signing a 28-year-old
But we know what Palace are like. 60, 70 million easy. I don't think we have
what would
that
be wrong with signing a 28-year-old as well?
Because it's the whole project, isn't it? At Manchester United, they don't want to be
United projects out the window.
Going down that road again.
No. That's where I disagree with that. That's the one thing they've documented quite well, and I'm happy with it. Is that United are not? I think Fabrizio said this the other day. Man United are not sort of looking at a plethora of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. They're looking for what they consider players with a future. So 4 or 5 years they can spend at the club, but that are ready to hit the ground running. And like Delap is like the lower end of that, because he's not a baby like people make out. Delap's turning 23 this season. He's not a kid. Do you know what I'm saying? But you look at the other players we're linked to, they're sort of 24, 25, 26 years of age. And I think that's what Man United need. I think I would rather sign 5 26-year-olds, 27-year-olds this summer than 20-year-olds. I actually think we need that those players that can hit that ground running and can make an impact on this team straight away, so that we are more attractive the following summer for players. But yeah, I'd take Mateta in a heartbeat, considering what our alternatives are, because we're not landing the hot. I just don't see us right now personally landing the hot properties over your Chelsea's, Liverpool's, Arsenal's. And I wish I could sit here with chest and go, we're Man United, we can do it. I can't do that. I can't sit here and lie to my audience and say I think we'll get them. And if we do, I'll be well happy. I'll celebrate and be like, great. But I don't have any. The number 9 area is the concern for me. I think we'll get 10s. I think we'll get midfielders. But the 9s, there's not very many good number 9s. You get what I'm saying? It's not like there's a huge catalogue.
Yeah. The market isn't great for strikers, for sure. And if we can't go and get a 22-year-old just been relegated after a half-decent season, I understand the Champions League and being at Chelsea, what their project, massively exciting with the cast of players they have over there. Obviously, he probably saw that massive heavy touch from Jackson last night and thought, well, so Uma taking over. Jackson in the Champions League with a crap touch, or Haaland with no Europe at all. So I can understand why he's gone. I can understand why no one would want to come to United. I'm surprised we even got Cunha, to be honest, because I know there was them links to Arsenal that he had a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, nothing's happened there, thankfully for us. But again, I'm massively worried, like you, Terry. I just don't understand or know what we're going to see next, or where we're meant to pivot to, who we're meant to try and bring in. I mean, even you look at the free signings. Jonathan David's meant to be going to Napoli now, so you can't even go and try and steal a match on him, I reckon. So I dread to think we start a season again with Haaland as number 9 and our target man starting every week, because I think we've seen enough last season to let you know that he's not built for the Premier League at all. So if we're trying to get in the top half of the table, and I think that has to be our goal next season. Never mind top 6, never mind Europe. Getting in the top 10 has to be United's goal next season. He's not the man to help us.
I agree.
Is Cunha not coming in to do Bruno's job, basically, in that 10?
He'll be a 10. But people are already saying, well, he can alternate as a 9, already putting that pressure on him to try and save the crap half above him, ahead of him. Do you know what I mean? At the top of the pitch, but I don't know. I'm massively worried about this football club and where we're meant to be going. I have nothing positive to say. So if anyone's here wanting me to say something nice about United, it's not going to come from me.
I have plenty of positives to say. I love where United's going.
I bet you do, mate. I bet you're absolutely
It's brilliant.
the biggest fan. Yeah,
You know what's wild as well about United? It's literally a sliding doors moment. If you'd won that cup, you got into the Champions League, everything just switches. Like,
well, there was two lists, wasn't there? There was two lists.
Players, you can move a load out. Like, it's wild, isn't it? Just one game.
There is. Yeah, I mean, there is that. I mean, I actually would worry more about the club if internally we saw it as a sliding doors moment. You win this game, we'll go on to great things. We lose it, we're finished. That would make me more panicked if that's how the people internally saw it. There is the other side. I think I love the fact that the expectations from fans are dropping, because I know we live in this world on social media where we all go, gotta have high standards. But it's not that people should or shouldn't have high standards. It's the expectation of the time of delivery. And like, football clubs are not Amazon Prime that get you your delivery the next day. And you got to see what Amazon do, by the way, to get you those deliveries the next day. People are peeing in bottles in the backs of vans and not having lunch breaks because to get those packages out. But that's not how football works. And I think Man United fans, I've been screaming this for 5-6 years, have got to readjust, not where you want the club to be, but the time in which it takes us to get there. And I think maybe for the first summer ever, Man United fans are realizing this is a 3 to 4 year, I'm going to use the word everyone hates because it's the truth, but it's the truth, process to get back to where we are. We are a 35 stone man who hasn't exercised for 20 years going back to the gym. You are not looking like peak Brad Pitt in a year, 2, 3. Even when you lose the weight, there's still work to do with getting excess skin cut off and plastic surgery. Like, we are, people have to understand analogy wise, we are that fucked and been that fucked. We are not Real Madrid that narrowly came second and got beat by Arsenal in the Champions League, which they won the year before or something, and they can sign a player and change managers and they're back. Those comparisons are stupid and actually dangerous, especially when they're put out on really big platforms that are influential. The media are doing a terrible job, and a lot of Man United representation online. I'm sorry to say it. If anyone feels offended, like I'm calling you out, it's not personal towards anybody. I keep hearing people say this club wouldn't do this and this club wouldn't allow this, and there's no way Madrid would miss out on a player like Delap. Madrid would never have allowed someone like Højlund to be their main number 9 for 2 years. You have to remember where we are and how long it's going to take to fix. That's the only positive I take from this, is that maybe finally the fans will realize, relax a little bit day to day. England did this when Southgate first came in. There wasn't even an expectation we'd win a game at a major competition. And we ended up getting to a semi-final. And I think it actually helped us in those early days of him, because the fans stopped putting unrealistic, and we are putting unrealistic expectations on United in the short term. And that's the only positive I can take from this, to be honest with you, Double A. Everything else, I agree with you on, mate. It feels very dark right now. Oh, Bilal, you're back. Are you going to send me more sexual expletives? As I said before, Bilal, I'm not an insecure man. I'm not insecure about my sexuality where I'm going to get angry over the things you say. Keep sending your money in and saying it. I'll take your money, bruv. This is the way I look at it. I'm taking your money and you ain't getting anything from me, bro. I'm being a bit of a tease. All right, darling. All right, but keep your money coming in. He says, you'll see the messages we're going along. He sends in crazy stuff. I tell you, can't believe you're allowing that. Again, I'm just a grown man who ain't insecure. It's not my fault. You are. Do you know what I mean? Question for Kate quickly. Question. Not when I say you are, I don't mean you, Double A, or anyone else on the panel. I'm just saying. I didn't mean it personally. Kate, Man United, according to reports, are now going to go all in for Bryan Mbeumo since they've missed out. According to the Muppeteers, good source at Man United, that United's plan is to now push for Bryan Mbeumo to convince him to join. If we start our summer window with Cunha and Mbeumo in the early stages, would you say United fans are right, like Double A and me, to be scared and worried? Or do you think that's a good start to a summer transfer window?
I think it's a good start. I like both of them players. I'm not sure how far up it pushes the needle, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I look at Man United and the first thing I'm looking at is getting a new goalkeeper, because I think Onana, all the while you've got him, he's a massive liability for you. Yeah. But I really like Mbeumo. I think he got 20 goals or 20 goal contributions this season. I think he's a good player, but I read a lot of reports today, 3 or 4 reports that Bruno's looking at going to Saudi. And if Bruno goes, who's your talisman and your best player, you've got to then look to replace him as well. I mean, it's all a bit. I'm not going to take the piss because my club's not that much better than yours. We just got a trophy at the end of it in Champions League, but it's all a bit shambolic at Manchester United at the minute. So I think they're a good start, but I wouldn't be getting overly too excited yet. I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to sort of get Man United in a better position.
Yeah.
My problem with getting 2 10s is then does that mean that Bruno's he's going to be an 8 in this team in the double pivot, which can't happen, mate. He's not good enough to play in that position.
He's been playing that
That'd
recently.
be fun. That would be fun to watch.
Yeah, but I don't want that.
He played
With
final next to Casemiro, didn't he? In that.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I completely agree. By the way,
and as much as Agate frustrates me, it should have been him and Casemiro in the final starting, just to match the physicality of Spurs, which he didn't do. So let's get Garnacho going, and we're stocking 10s. That's absolutely fine. But Kate's right. The 9 and the keeper for me are the two must sort out immediately positions, because I can't watch that goalkeeper anymore at Old Trafford. He's absolute. I make jokes about him, the worst player I've ever seen for Manchester United, but Taibbi's got some competition for the worst ever goalkeeper at Manchester United with him. And Haaland's, I'd say it again, Haaland is the worst player I've ever seen play professionally. Not play for Manchester United. I genuinely think National League strikers will give him a game.
Worse than Werner. Worse than Timo Werner.
Yes. Because anyone you can name, I would say Haaland is worse. Because
Nunes.
Are you putting him above Bebe?
I'd take that homeless Ronaldo all day long over Haaland.
Yeah.
I take Dongfang Zhao. I'd take over him. I'd take Mama Biram Juroff. Any player.
Would you take a 40-year-old Ronaldo?
Yes. Oh my God, that's
yeah.
disrespectful.
I'd have Igalo back. I'd have Weghorst back over Haaland. He is that bad. He's the worst I've ever seen.
No, and he's got worse. The goalkeepers, I think, is a massive one, because even if we score more goals, control more midfields, become more pacey and powerful, Onana is the kind of player that will lose us minimum 5 games a season. Minimum 5 games, you can write off. 5 games a year, and then it's all the other goals that he costs us by his indecision and he's bad, And I loved it when Man United fans are doing the micro penis competition this season. Start buying there. No, he's just bad. They are two. What is it? They're the different cheeks of the same arse. Those two. They are just. You look at the week. The game against Villa. The mistake by the ref saved us in the end. It was the microcosm of our entire season. The better team for large parts, but couldn't score, and then a defensive or a goalkeeping error leads to a goal, and then we'd have lost their confidence and not come back. If we want to start building confidence, I agree with you, AA. A goalkeeper's needed. We need a goalie that the whole team feels secure with. I've seen Onana dive the other way on shots on 4 or 5 occasions. For even the goal that Spurs scored, I always have to premise this by saying I'm not trying to take anything away from Spurs. I think 95% of goalkeepers in all the top flight leagues in Europe saved that. It wasn't that hard. It wasn't even moving that quickly, but his anticipation and his reaction time is so slow. It is crazy. It's
why
mad.
Does he dive backwards as well? He has a weird knack for diving backwards into his own goal.
Tom, doesn't he remind you of Mignolet in his last 2 seasons?
No, I take Mignolet over him today. If I had the choice. Onana's so bad.
You know what he reminds me of? He's got the positional sense of Mignolet and the confidence of Karius. Karius never wanted to actually save the football.
He never wanted to.
It's like Onana doesn't want to save the football.
Yeah, he's nowhere near standards.
Right.
Nowhere near. Nav here says, is Arsenal pulling out? I'm hearing Arsenal are pulling out of the Sporting Striker. Check it. Or you tell me where to check it. I'm not going to sit here and search it. If you've seen the link, tell me where and I'll go and find it now. The internet's a big old place, my old mate. Moving on to Chelsea. Obviously, I'm going to go to Dan first on this. Delap, the here we go is in. You've got him. Now very strong reports about going for Branthwaite, going for Rodrygo, hijacking Arsenal for Gyokeres, links to Ekitike. I mean, it feels as though it's been very quiet on the Chelsea front for transfers the last couple of weeks, where a lot of other clubs were quite noisy and busy. But you got the Champions League football, you won the trophy last night, but it does feel like Clear Lake are going to put their money where their mouth is again, and really try and put you in the best position possible next year to try and win the league and try and win the Champions League.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was riding on Chelsea getting top four and qualifying for the Champions League. As you said about Manchester United and the potential sliding doors moment, I think Chelsea were kind of facing something like that as well. And I think Champions League qualification was huge for them. And I think that's probably why they've been able to get Liam Delap over the line. I'm not completely like excited by Liam Delap coming to Chelsea. I don't think he's exactly what we should have been after. But I do think he's the inevitable signing that Clear Lake were always going to make if they had the opportunity to sign him because of his profile, his age. I think there's an exciting prospect in there, but I just feel like a striker that's capable of putting 20 goals a season away is what Chelsea should be looking at going into potentially fighting for top four again next season. More than that, Champions League football against the biggest and best teams in Europe. I just feel like Liam Delap doesn't sort of lift the bar or raise the bar enough, in my honest opinion. But the other signings, they're I think inevitable that they happen because I think Chelsea's owners have got an addiction to spending money in the hope that a few of them pay off to generate a huge amount of profit. But until I see a real shift in experience and the methods around our approach to recruitment, I still feel Chelsea will be lacking and will be further away from the title than they think they are, or the Champions League final sort of rounds. I'm not sure I see Chelsea getting there. If they sort of stick to this model, I think it will be more that in 3 or 4 years' time when those players develop, they might then be good enough to then contest.
Sweeney Todd's back, ain't he?
I look at Chelsea and I think, look, they got the job done in the Conference League, got Champions League. That should be the catalyst to move on to phase 2 of the project, which is, right, we shop for similar types of players, but with more pedigree. It just seems like you're taking more expensive risks rather than move up to the next
30 million,
category.
Not bad.
I mean with the other ones, that the likes of the Ekitike. I don't want us to go near Ekitike.
I don't think we'll get
going near him for the price that they're asking.
Just don't think that will happen unless Jackson moves on. I just don't see Ekitike.
Do you think Cole Palmer had any input on that Delap signing?
No, apparently
because he was earmarked for Man United.
Wesley Fofana just put on Instagram it was Lavia who has basically agented the deal. That's what he's put. He's put a job, on Instagram. So I think Lavia and Delap played longer together at Manchester City's academy. So I think that might have been the reason. But
I forgot about Lavia.
I think Chelsea getting Champions League football was instrumental in that, because I think if Manchester United had got it, I just feel like Delap probably would have stayed or probably would have, gone to Manchester United. But look, I think he's a good player, but I just feel like if you're in the top 4 of the Premier League, is a 12 goal a season player at Ipswich the player you should be putting all your eggs into one basket on as a striker, or you keep him and Nicholas Jackson competing between the two? It just still doesn't feel like enough for me in terms of firepower.
But most of your reports have said that you're going for 2. So there are really strong rumours that coming out of Portugal today, from the Portuguese, I think it's called the Recorder or whatever the newspaper's called, that you're going in for Gyokeres. I mean, we've mentioned Ekitike already. It does appear that you're not going to be buying just one striker. You are going to go for 2.
I only believe they'll sign another one if players depart. If Mark Gee goes out on loan, if Nicholas Jackson leaves, or if Nkunku leaves, because at this moment in time, there are 4 strikers at the club, and I just don't see Chelsea signing a 5th one. 3. Sorry, if Delap comes in, it's 4. I just don't think they'll sign another one until one of those players has departed.
I also think for the pedigree of striker that you've got, it's hard to keep 3 happy because
there's no outstanding striker out.
They're all going to think they can be number 1. There's no clear hierarchy.
Competition.
So if you brought in Ekitike, I'm just going to use Ekitike because you've been linked to them. If you brought in Ekitike alongside Jackson and Delap, there's no clear number 1. And with being in the Champions League, you lose that guaranteed game time for the 3rd choice to appease them and go, well, look, you're not going to play much in the league, but you know what? Every Thursday, you're going to be getting 90 minutes because I'm not going to be playing him. If you're in the Champions League, that option goes. So it's very hard to keep 3 strikers appeased with their game time and appeased with their situation if you've got to be playing your number 1 choice week in, week out. that's why I do wonder about this insistence on getting this second striker this window. I just don't see how you're gonna keep all of them on board. The only way I could see it working is if you brought one of these hybrid attackers who's like a winger who can be a number 9 if needs be, because you do still need the guy to play off the left. I know that you're in negotiations now with Sancho and all that, but I just wonder how you'd keep Ekitike, Jackson, and Delap all happy whilst having to try and compete in the Champions League, where the manager's not necessarily going to be wanting to play his third choice striker.
I agree as well. You know why? Because Delap he was literally given an unbelievable contract by Everton. Like you are going to be our main man. Like Delap's going to Chelsea to play. He's going there to be the first choice. I'm telling you, he definitely had a lot of offers on the table from many Premier League clubs to be the main man. He's not going to go to Chelsea as a bit part player, because he could have had first choice at a number of clubs. He definitely would have been your first choice at Man United. Like, you would have had to sell that to him.
He's a better striker than Jackson. So
I don't think you get an Ekitike. Tom, I think we
will.
probably will get Ekitike. I know you don't want him, but I know. I'm surprised Chelsea hasn't gone for Sesko. That's a really weird one.
Yeah, Sesko for me was someone that sort of fitted.
Yeah, just everything sits for the age and the profile for Chelsea. That one.
Maybe it's because my club's in the mud, so everything looks better to me. I don't understand why Liverpool fans and Chelsea fans, I've even seen Arsenal fans, are like, Ekitike, I don't know, and Sesko, I'm not sure, and is Gyokeres really as good as the numbers state? Honestly, I'm watching you guys and I'm thinking, your first world problems make me fucking sick, you mugs. I'm going to pull you all out.
No, I won't go crazy.
It's like, there ain't much better out there. I'm not going to be blunt. Who's better than the guys who will be genuinely, who are the better strikers out there in the world that are attainable that you're all being linked to?
Matteo Retegui is the one that I want.
Who?
Retegui from Atalanta.
Okay. Is he linked? Is he linked to be leaving?
He's got a €50 million release clause, apparently.
And why is he better than Ekitike, Gyokeres, Sesko, these guys? Why is he better?
He's better than Ekitike and Sesko because he's actually a clinical finisher. He's more refined in his game, and he's cheaper than them. So I look at Ekitike. There's quotes of 80 million quid for Ekitike. Leipzig won €100 million for Sesko. These are guys who have I think Ekitike's underperformed XG by 7.8 this year. For my team, for Liverpool, I can't speak for anyone else, but for Liverpool, I have 2 years. I have a 2-year window now where I need to maximise what I can do for Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah. I have just done 3 years of sitting there with a striker going, when he eventually puts the ball in the net consistently, it'll be dead good. Eventually he'll do it. Eventually he'll do it. Eventually he'll do it. It doesn't matter that he keeps missing now. Eventually he'll do it. It's a good thing he's getting in the right position. And it never clicks because the pressure's too much. I don't want to do that again right now. If I'm in a situation in a couple of years' time when I need to, I'll go for it. But right now, whilst I'm in a win now mode, I cannot justify spending top striker money on a guy who I can't trust to get 20 goals. Retegui's just finished the season as Serie A top scorer with 25 goals for an Atalanta side that finished third. He missed some games to injury and fitness, so I think he started 32 and got 25, which is really good numbers. His link-up was very good. He performed well in the Champions League. He's half the price of these guys, and he's at an age at 26 where I think that he is pretty much ready to adapt to he's about to enter his prime, and he's at a good time to adapt to whatever league that he comes into in terms of his physicality and in terms of where at the point of the career that he's at. Whereas let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question though. Is there not again? I don't know much about him, so I'm asking questions to learn, not to try and catch you out. I just want you to be very aware of that. This is the first season where he's actually scored like a high number of goals in a top European. He's only been in Europe 2 years. Yeah.
Last year was pretty good, 9 goals in all comps. This year, 28 in all comps.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be that he is having a bit of a? Wouldn't it be more sensible? I know he's 25, 26 years of age. Wouldn't it be more sensible to watch what he does for another year before putting that money into a player that's only had one good season in Europe?
Potentially, but I also look at what he achieved outside Europe. He was the top scorer in the Argentine league right before he got his move to Genoa. And that the Argentine league, it's actually a pretty decent league. It's not, European top 5 league level, but it's one of the better leagues outside of those leagues. He was doing it for, I think it was Tigre, who weren't necessarily expected to be high up there, and he put together, I think, 24 goals. So he's someone who I put him in the same ilk because I don't put Gyokeres in the same category as Ekitike or Sesko. The Rodrygo and Gyokeres for me are the next category below your Isaks and your Alvarez's, etc. These top guys who've done it in European leagues. Rodrygo has a little bit more than Gyokeres because he's done it in a top 5 league. Whereas Gyokeres has got really good numbers in the Portuguese league, and I think the Portuguese league, because of a certain Uruguayan who joined Liverpool, has took a big hit in terms of reputation for big money strikers coming in and adapting to their leagues. Those two, I don't want to put them two in the same category as Sesko and Ekitike, who haven't even hit elite numbers yet. They're young, and they are the kind of right buy for a team like a Chelsea who see themselves being 2 years away from being ready, because you can use that 2-year period to develop these guys. But for a team like Liverpool or a team like Arsenal, they're not the guy you need to go for.
I get what you say that. I mean, but Ekitike this season has 22 goals. The guy you're talking about, like best thing since sliced bread, only scored 6 more goals than him. And you're talking
12 assists as well, Ekitike. People
it's like you're not talking one got 8 goals and one got 28, 20, 30. There's not a massive difference between the two. And one's, I'm not saying I don't know much about the guy you're mentioning. Ekitike's got good numbers and good output for a young player. And imagine him in, I don't know. He ain't that young.
He's double the price though, Terry.
He turns 20. He turns 24. Yeah, the price. I get that. He turns 24 next season. Like, he's not a baby.
I get that, but I think what's got to be considered with this is the competitions that they're playing in. So I see Serie A as a bit of a higher quality league than the Bundesliga overall. I think Serie A's got more quality in it. If I look at the league only, they both Ekitike played 33, Rodrygo played 36, but Ekitike actually played more minutes. Rodrygo got 10 more goals than him and the same amount of assists. Now, the difference in terms of the stats is that Ekitike was playing in the Europa League, whereas Rodrygo was in the Champions League. So that, it comes down to weighting. Ekitike only scored 1 more goal in the Europa League than Rodrygo got in the Champions League. And then it's cup competitions after that. You know, Ekitike done well in the DFB Pokal. I don't think Rodrygo really played much in the cup. So I'm looking at...
He's also missed a lot, Tom, as well. Like his XG he's under.
Yeah, Ekitike's XG underperforms is the biggest in Europe as well. Yeah. I think it's like 7.88. He's underperformed XG. I just don't want to risk that for my club right now. If I go next year, I bring him in for 80 million quid, and I get someone who's underperformed XG by 8 again. That's the difference between league titles.
I think one of the biggest things from Italy is just getting a player from Italy. Like, it's really hard to sign players from Italy, especially strikers. Like, you'll be really lucky to get him out of there. He's only been there a year.
He's got the release scores though. That's the difference.
For me though, like, I look at Liverpool now, and you know, when we get Wirtz, we just need a bagsman, and you just go and get the likes of an Osimhen, or you go and get a Gyokeres, and your Wirtz is just going to put it on a plate for him, and so is Salah on a plate. Like, it's just there. Like, we can't get Isak. I don't think Newcastle are going to sell him. I also don't think we're going to spend 150 million, like, as in quid, like, to get him out. I just don't think we're going to put down that type of money. Alvarez, I really want Alvarez. Like, we obviously tried for him last season. You know, if we could get him, he's probably one of the most hard-working attackers known to man, and he's a winner. Like, he's won everything wherever he's been. He hasn't done it at Atletico, but it's not particularly his fault.
He's done it. He has done it.
No, he hasn't. He didn't win the league. He didn't win a cup. So
yeah, but Atleti, Griezmann never won the league at Atleti.
I know.
But no one was sitting there with Griezmann going, "Oh, he never done it."
Yeah,
I'm sure Gerrard never did.
I do agree. Gerrard didn't do it for Liverpool. He never won the league. I agree.
I'm sure he went there to be a Luis Suarez, though, to go and break that league up. But he's been brilliant as well this season.
I mean, Sorloth's arguably been like their main man in front of goal this season.
He's been good as well.
No, I think Alvarez.
He's got Man United written all over him, hasn't he?
Yeah, guys, I don't want to get too sidetracked away from the Chelsea chat that we were on, because it was more a Chelsea section. We've kind of gone right into Liverpool and what they're going to do, and we'll come back to that in a moment. We've done a lot of shows on Liverpool recently. There's a super chat here for Dan, actually. It says, bro, this Chelsea fan is clueless. We aren't 4 years from challenging. If we had Delap this season, he's definitely scoring more than Jackson.
Yeah, maybe he will score more than Jackson, but I'll be honest, Jackson has scored more goals than him in the Prem this season. Ipswich obviously definitely had less big chances created. I think Chelsea got more more than double what Ipswich created. So there's a potential there that he does score enough goals, but I don't think on his season and on the ability that I've seen that Delap is enough on his own to take Chelsea to a Premier League title. I just don't think he is, and I think the squad are probably a minimum of 2 or 3 years away from really being able to contest a Premier League title. I just think they are. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. John Terry come out publicly and said it this week as well, that he still thinks this Chelsea team are a little bit further away than what maybe some people are suggesting. And I think a little bit more investment is needed from Chelsea to make sure this team's good enough. We haven't even discussed the goalkeeper. We haven't even discussed that defensively we've got issues. We've still got issues in terms of wide players and their output as well. So there's still jobs to be done in terms of recruitment at Chelsea. But I do think Liam Delap will be a better striker than Nicholas Jackson. I can't deny that.
Do you not sometimes think Chelsea buy players so that other teams can't buy them? Because I see Delap and I think Chelsea are going to ruin him. He's a young guy.
I think he's perfect
You know,
for
I know
Chelsea.
he's not
I do
baby.
think he's perfect for Chelsea, Kate. He's the type of striker that's actually thrived at Chelsea. He's the type of player that's a bit of an old school, brutish approach, will niggle at the opposition's teams, will wind them up. There's a similarity between him and a Diego Costa and players like that. I think of, I even thought of like, this is an old one. I don't know if people remember this, but even like an Alan Shearer back in the day. I feel like I see a bit of Delap having a little bit of a younger Alan Shearer in him as well. I think maybe Chelsea have done that in the past with players like Mudryk, but I think if you look at Liam Delap, he's the absolute ideal signing that Chelsea would sign as a young striker that fits the model. I think Joe Shields obviously has worked with him at Manchester City. A lot of the players that Joe Shields has brought in are mates with Liam Delap. I don't think this is one to stop Manchester United getting him. I just think that Manchester United took themselves out of the race, to be honest with you.
But if you get another striker, I just see Delap just taking a back seat at Chelsea and another young.
No, he'll be the number one. He'll be the number nine. There's no doubt about it. Jackson's performance last night is enough to suggest that the fact that this news has broke off the back of Jackson's performance last night, I think that tells you everything you need to know, to be honest with you.
And you might have literally just signed him because Jackson's out for the Club World Cup. Like, I think that Delap, the writing was on the wall from the moment he sort of started showing he was able to do it at the Premier League level. I think the writing was on the wall, because if you look at the players that Chelsea have recruited from Manchester City's academy, as soon as they've sort of suggested they could do it at a level, they've been brought into Chelsea. We've got a number of players now that have been in that Manchester City academy playing for Chelsea's first team.
Dan, you need to be sorry, Terry. Dan, you need to be careful likening Delap to Shearer, because Shearer also chose Newcastle over United and never won anything again. So you don't want them links happening again.
I hear what you're saying, by the way. I just think the play style, I just look at Delap as a number 9 that there aren't many number 9s in the Premier League that have similarities to Delap anymore. I think Delap is a striker that comes from a dying breed.
I think he's going to score. I think he's going to do very well at Chelsea. Yes, I've seen comps. Some Chelsea fans putting comps together of his misses today and stuff, and I just find that to be such a reductive. You could literally go and put a foul compilation together for the greatest players in the world, put some clown music behind it, and go, look, they were bad footballers. It's just normal. Cristiano Ronaldo is the greatest goal scorer that's ever lived. This is a fact. No one scored more goals than him. I've seen him personally at Old Trafford miss 2 or 3 goals from half a yard out on the line with no goalkeeper. These things happen. So I think there's a really good player in there.
Do you think, though, just real quick, do you think with Delap, you look at Ipswich's style of play this season, they've been camped deep and he's almost been on his own as this sort of, he's been their one-man battering ram up front, and he made a lot of these channel runs, and it's been a lot of counter-attacking football. Now, from what I know Chelsea at the start of the season still relied heavily on the counter-attack, and at points, teams obviously still going to counter-attack, but Chelsea want to be a bit more of a possession-dominant side. They want to be holding 65% possession. Do you think that Delap and his game is ready to be the striker who almost sits in the box, just waits for stuff to come to him?
I think he can do that. It's just that there wasn't a lot of opportunity to do it. But did you guys all see the stat the other day that the Premier League now, and this is so funny with everyone going, Gyokeres won't work here because of counter-attacks. The Premier League now, on average, is the biggest league in Europe for counter-attacks and or transition attacks, as they call them now. So we have more in our league, and that is including the big teams, than anyone else. You're Liverpool. Liverpool football, your two best ways of scoring goals under Slot and Klopp was pressing the ball high and winning it, or one long ball over the top on a counter. You have thrived off it. I don't see what there is. It's funny because Arsenal fans do this too. We don't score a lot on the counter. Why we buy someone who scores on the counter? You don't score a lot on the counter because your players aren't good enough to score on the fucking counter. Chelsea have had so many transition opportunities this season and not capitalized upon it. I think it's about, let's see whether we can settle and do that role. But I just think there's so many opportunities in transition at all clubs in the Premier League. It's we've seen it in Europe this year. We are such a powerful and fast league. I think you need players like that. And yes, PSG knocked out Arsenal and Inter are in the final, but PSG are a little bit of an anomaly because of the money they have for the rest of their league. And you always get that. The 2 or 3 best teams and all the best teams in Europe will match most of the Premier League teams on the pace and power that our league has. But we've seen this year with what the English teams have done, including my shithole of a team, to the Spanish sides, absolutely run through them. And we ain't even that powerful. So I think you need players like Liam Delap with the way Premier League football is going. It's so much about speed and power. And as you say, that brutishness, I think there's an important part of that. However, where I agree with Dan, it can't be the only attacker because you need variety in that attack. Someone who is maybe better at holding up the ball and bringing people into play. And it's about having options, and fans have lost their way. I think back to the greatest attack my club ever had. The differences between York and Cole, the differences between Sheringham and Ollie, and then the mixture, depending on who we played, home or away, we had a variety of tools to break a team down, and clubs have got to go back. I think where sometimes City struggle is, and Mamouche has been brought in for this reason. If they can't create those one-on-ones and those tap-ins for Haaland, have you got someone that can do what Omar Mamouche does? No. So they went and bought him. I think you need that variety personally. It's very, very important. A few super chats here. First one says, are you not going to address Kate as European champion? No. I'm not going to lie to the world. They're champions of the Europa League.
Yeah. We're still European champions. We're just second-tier European champions.
Yeah. Oh, okay, it's true. So I'm going to call Leeds champions of England then as well. I'm going to do the same thing. That's okay. That's what I did. You should try to sign. I don't know who that is, but thank you, my friend. Seems like your standard. Appreciate it, mate. Love the profile pic, by the way. Why change Onana? He is the GOAT. Thank you. Listen, I reckon a GOAT would do a better job in goal. I'm not lying. I reckon a GOAT could save more. In a 5 at the back system, wing backs bring the attacking width. It's the positions I'm not hearing, but one of the most important upgrades you need. Look, Man United definitely need some more creativity on the.
Man United need an upgrade, didn't know that's the thing.
But this is exactly. I got asked a question the other day, Double A, on a show. I don't know who I was streaming with. It might have been Hussam. It was a Monday. Hussam, Mo, and Potsy. And the question was, which legend would you bring back from the past to improve today's team? And it was so easy for them. Gerrard for Slobosly, R9 for Thuram, and I think Potsy said Kai Havertz for Henry. And I'm sitting there, and I didn't know. And I'm like, I don't know. Because every position needs an upgrade. It was so hard to pick. So yeah, I agree. That's the thing for us as well. But yeah, it's
probably need Roy Keane.
I don't know if we do. I think Roy Keane was struggling in a Man United team like this with the way his mindset worked. I actually think we need players that don't. I think we need to look more at the players we were buying in the late 80s, early 90s than when we were already winning Premier League titles. I think there's we're at a different stage.
Could you imagine Roy Keane if his striker was Højlund? He'd fight him on the pitch.
He'd be getting sent off every match. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, he would have the fight in his own, which is why I don't think it would work in the modern day game. But I do hear your point. But in terms of the attacking wing backs, listen, I think if we end up with Mbeumo, we end up with Cunha. I think you're going to see Ahmad, for instance, out in those positions more. I've still got a little bit, Dorgu. I'm not turning my back on him. A lot of people have. I think, I would say this. I reckon he'd have about 5 or 6 assists this season if players could score goals or get onto the right crosses. He's put some balls into some dangerous areas. That's why, though, we need more predatory players in and around that box. He did it against Villa. I think it was 2 crosses that went across the 6-yard box. Again, Liverpool score from that. Tottenham, Solanke's tapping that in. And we just don't have players that have the right instincts. So, yeah, I do agree we need to improve in those areas, but I think goals from the attacking players is very key.
Our number 9s wouldn't have scored from that, though, Terry. Maybe someone else would have, but not
I fit Jota. Now, again, but Salah would have come in at the back post and tapped it in. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're attackers. Do you know what I mean? It's some sorts of links. I don't know what. It's only caught a couple of seconds, so why I came here could be chatting crap. Yeah, but tell us who said it, bro. And I'll go and search it, and I need to know who said it. If it's come from Indy, then we know it's not true. That indie account that they used to share news. If it's come from Fabrizio, we're gonna go, oh wow, we need to know who said it.
Fabrizio.
Yeah, that
Arsenal
news is
Arsenal
pretty big.
started moving initial concrete talks for Benjamin Sesko.
Means
Oh,
Chelsea are getting Gyokeres.
Bomba. Do you know what? Well, it brings us into that section. Actually, no, let's do some super chats first, then we'll come into that section in a minute. Because for me, I feel like there's a lot to talk on that, and I don't want to ignore these super chats that are off topic. This says I'd take Delap as a backup for the Sporting striker as the main. Gyokeres is his name. Thank you. I think Jacko is getting sold. If not, bring me a world-class winger like Rodrygo. Well, that's the other link today. The other link today is that you guys are seriously pushing and looking at the situation with looking at the situation for Rodrygo, Dan. And I mean that surely that would be a sign, and it would, give you a few goosebumps and get the blood flowing a little bit, make you a little bit happier.
Yeah, that's for me. That's the sort of signing and player and the level of player I think Chelsea should be looking at going after. To be honest with you, the amount of money that Chelsea have spent, there's no reason why they shouldn't have been going after the biggest targets and the biggest names. And if he's unhappy and willing to leave, which I'm not sure is true, but I definitely would entertain that. And I think that's the type of player that adds goals to the side, adds a winning level of experience to the team as well. So, yeah, I'd be incredibly impressed if Chelsea went after Rodrygo for sure. Look, I don't know if Jackson's getting sold, by the way, in response to that super chat. I genuinely don't know. I don't know who's taken him, to be honest with you, after last night's performance. I know he scored, but I think that last touch that he had before he come off and faking the injury is...
I mean, his goal as well. It wasn't exactly a striker's goal. He went to head it, missed the header, and it bounced off his chest past Adrian.
You got to be in the right position, though.
The goalkeeper thought it was handball. It was so weird.
Not the goal he came at. Adrian. I had to watch Adrian in a European game again. I thought I'd had enough after Atletico. I cannot believe Chelsea got so lucky to go against Adrian.
Did you see that?
I genuinely, by the way, if Spurs or Man United had played Betis, right, I genuinely think they would have lost, both teams. I think Betis were better than what I saw in the Europa League final.
I think you got a fair point there, to be fair. I thought Betis looked good, but
yeah,
it didn't happen. So
I mean,
we're still champions.
No. But I was actually impressed with them for about an hour. I thought they were dealing with anything Chelsea sort of threw at them, and their midfield made it really difficult for Chelsea. To be fair,
their manager made a massive mistake by taking off their goal scorer, because that kid that he brought on was awful. He did no tracking back, and he got skinned twice on the wing, and then they were 2-1 down, and it was done.
Yeah. So I just think they were old. Like
Abdi was brilliant when they had him on.
They were bringing on was mad. Like I saw Bakambu, I saw Isco, I saw Anthony, Adrian, Ricardo Rodriguez. He only plays in international tournaments. What was he doing in a club game?
Yeah. All these guys, they were all on the pitch.
Like 2017 year on the pitch. No wonder they gassed out after the 16th minute. The average age must have been about 33.
Yeah, it was funny because I got into it with Staffy in our group chat, because I think they had a good first half, but I said at half time they're going to come back and win. He's like, there's no evidence of that, and I went, it's because it's not a footballing metric for looking at a team that is slowing down physically and looking at a team. We just looked at the Chelsea players, a few inches taller, a few kilos heavier, and a few miles per hour faster on average per player, and we know Chelsea have got very good technical players, and They blew their load too early, Real Betis. They came, I think their plan was start early, try and get a 2-goal lead, and then see if we can sit in. They didn't get the second goal, and it was, for me, it was obvious what was going to happen. And as soon as that first goal went in, you just saw the exhaustion come out, and yeah, they were. And even when I heard at half time, there's a loud noise coming from the Real Betis room, it's like, yeah, too emotional for a final. You need to stay. I think sometimes you can release too much negative energy, if that makes sense, and yeah, too much power there. Sesko going for almost 92 million. Gyokeres is cheaper. I want Gyokeres. Come on, you Gooners. Well, look, that brings us on to a story that has just broke in the last few moments, that Arsenal have started concrete talks over signing Benjamin Sesko. Now, we've seen, and the Football Terrace has reported on this largely in the last few weeks, lots of reports from Portugal that, personal terms are no problem, and sort of official or unofficial bids have been made, and it's Gyokeres that Arsenal were focusing on. At the same time, there was a lot of talk that Arteta at the same time was trying to convince the club to go for Benjamin Sesko. as we say, now reported that Arsenal have entered into initial talks for Benjamin Sesko. We don't have any Arsenal fans here to react to that. Is this the right way for them to be going, Double A? Is Benjamin Sesko the man that's going to move that needle in the title race for Arsenal?
Well, yeah, because it's not Mikel Merino number 9 anymore, is it? Which is straight away.
He's pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah, but he didn't win in the league. Do you know what I mean? So I think
his numbers were decent.
Good for a midfielder, but he can't. He's not a long term player. There, I think it's almost Sesko to Arsenal's almost become our Wesley Sneijder, and it just seems to be one of them transfers that seems to be on off. Finally, it looks like it might happen. It obviously massively strengthens that position because Arsenal, much like a lot of our teams here, have been desperate for a number 9 for quite a while now. So, is he the best? I think they should have gone for Gyokeres. Gyokeres for me, I think he's the one. If he goes to Chelsea, I think Chelsea with him and Delap, I think you are challenging, Dan. I don't think you have to wait 2-3 years, mate. If you're getting them two,
I mean, Gyokeres is a complete game changer in that sense, isn't it? With what he's shown at Sporting,
big time. With the Rodrygo one as well, I'd worry about that because then I'd worry that as a United fan because that means does Sancho not stay, which obviously we want him to at United.
Well, no, apparently the news is Chelsea's trying to make that happen.
Yeah, the news has just come out that Chelsea are trying to essentially make him take a pay cut to join, because they want to keep him. So, for me, it looks like that may happen.
Do you think that's what the Rodrygo story is then, to make him crap his pants a little bit and take that wage cut maybe? Just a little link out there.
I think Chelsea would be ruthless enough to sign Rodrygo and have Jadon Sancho stay, to be honest with you. I think because Mudryk has just got a really uncertain future now, I think Chelsea sort of view another winger as an additional...
I forgot you had him.
Well, he was there last night and getting a medal, but yeah.
Rodrygo's not leaving Real Madrid. I'm sorry. He's not leaving.
I really don't. The news is sort of broke a month ago, hasn't it? And just hasn't gone away. He's been linked with a number.
If Ancelotti was still there, I think he definitely would have left.
He would go if Ancelotti's there, but
with Xabi Alonso,
he said he's an incredible player and he can't wait to use him.
Why
would you leave? He's got the best right back in the world as well.
Xabi Alonso is also not going to come out and go, you know what, Rodrygo's crap, isn't he? And then look at all their negotiating power go down the pan.
I said this the other day, right? This is where I think Ruben Amorim has actually lowered the value of a couple of Manchester United players by coming out and publicly stating that they could leave the club in the summer and not protect the asset. Whereas someone like Xabi Alonso's come in, protected the assets, withheld the value of the player. And then ultimately, if someone does come in, he's not an unwanted man and they're going to have to pay a premium. Whereas Garnacho, I mean, with Amorim saying about Garnacho potentially leaving in the summer, they've probably driven the price down 10, 20 million because it's sort of shown that Manchester United are willing to sell it.
Weak position.
It has. At the same time, our situation is different. You know, we're in a position where our players' behaviour is awful. And I don't think it matters if you like Amorim or not. We've allowed our players to rule the roost at this club for a long time, and I think sometimes you've still got to lay that law down. You've got to let that. Do you know what I mean? I think sometimes the situations are a little bit different. Having said that, you know, no one thought we'd get any money for Anthony. We're going to get decent money for him. We're going to get decent money for decent money. We're getting a lot more than people expected us for Rashford and for Anthony's of this world. So yeah, it's an interesting one. On the Sesko talks. I mean, as I say, we've reported a lot that the Portuguese press have been pushing hard that Arsenal wanted Gyokeres. When you compare the two players with each other, we know that Sesko is an upgrade on what they've got as a striker. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Sesko for around 90 million is what they're reporting the price is going to be. Gyokeres for around 55 million. I mean, if this was again, you've all got clubs that need, all of our clubs need a new number 9.
It's got Liverpool written all over it, Terry.
You think Gyokeres to Liverpool is going to happen?
It's just got Liverpool written all over it. It's the numbers, it's the data. It's the value. It's just got Liverpool written all over it.
I disagree.
And we've not been linked with him once.
I don't think it is us. I'll be honest. I don't know.
I reckon we heavily scouted him as well, Tom, because he's in Portugal.
Yeah, but I also think if you're looking at the way our recruitment's going, I think we're going back to the old model, which kind of stops us buying any players around Gyokeres' age, which kind of worries me about Rodrygo. But I do wonder where Gyokeres goes at this point, because if Arsenal are out the conversation, Chelsea will be there, but are Chelsea going to be willing to break their model that has been this, we buy these young players and all this, that, and the other. If they don't break the model, that's Chelsea out the way. I don't think we'll be there. The wages are another thing. I don't think we'll be there. He doesn't want to go Man United because he wants to go Man United. City don't need a striker. What leagues? Maybe like
Barcelona,
La Liga or something.
Hang on, but couldn't that help Man United? But couldn't that help Man United? Not trying to put any could it help Man United if Arsenal? Let's just because again, I believe some of the reports from Portugal are true, and maybe not they've made official bids. I think Arsenal have inquired. I think they have looked. I think they have spoke about personal terms. What could end up being the case, though, is that in the end they changed their mind. They did this before Arsenal. This is, I feel sorry for a lot of the journalists now that will get abuse and bullshit. Oh, you said this and you said that. Arsenal briefed the media they were never going to pay the money that I don't remember who did Liverpool buy. Who did Arsenal buy Pepe from? I don't remember who they bought him from. Lille. Yeah. There was a lot of talk. They briefed the media very directly that they will not be paying the fee. A week later, they decided to do it. They changed their minds. And a lot of journalists got a lot of abuse for years over that. Oh, you got it wrong. No, your club changed their mind. It's if AA says, I'm not going out tonight, and then I see him out on Instagram, and I've told KJ he's not going out. I'm not a liar. AA just changed his fucking mind. Like, it's not on me. But I think Arsenal may have changed their mind because that's what's been reported. They've been arguing over this. But if Arsenal change their mind and Liverpool don't sign 27-year-olds, and Chelsea don't want to pay that wage because it's above their 150, 200k limit. Newcastle are not going to sign him because they've got Isak. City have got Haaland. I'm not saying, Barcelona might look at him, but it looks like Lewandowski's staying for another year. Real Madrid's an option that could be out there. That's where I want to see Man United strike and try and take advantage and go, well, look, maybe we have to offer an extra 30, 40 grand a week. But it's a player that knows the manager, knows the systems.
Liam Delap, what makes you think you have a chance with Gyokeres?
Well, because
pretty much get a move to any club in the world.
I can answer that really easily, though. But
we just won the league as well, by the way.
You lot are all sitting there and saying that Gyokeres is going to find it hard to find a club because no one wants him, and at the same time,
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying. No, I think Gyokeres has the pick of the bunch when it comes to the best. Hang on. But that's what I'm referring to. Tom has just sat there and listed all these reasons why he might not go to Chelsea because of the wages. He won't go to Liverpool because of the age. Arsenal are now looking at Sesko. City and Newcastle don't need him. My point is that's where I just want to see us try and strike. Now, the point is, why would he join us? I agree. If all those kind of clubs are in for him, it's harder. Like with Delap, if you hadn't gone for Delap, we'd have signed him. If the clubs aren't trying to sign Gyokeres, that's where I want to see us look at I'm going to use the word that triggers people in 2025. You've got to look at that as a market opportunity and go, hang on. And I want to see us try. That's what I'm saying here. I'm not saying he will pick us. I'm not that deluded. But I want to see us try.
By the way, like you're missing out the fact.
I've got to say, Amorim said we have to try and use that Amorim link. Yeah. We have to try and use that Amorim link because otherwise, what's the point? But I agree.
I just feel like a striker at his age can't turn down the opportunity of playing Champions League football.
I mean.
No, I agree, but
the guy I just ruled out Prem clubs. I still think he's got Europeans
more goals than anybody else in Europe 2 years in a row. Like you can't.
Again, though, K-Mac, we are responsible for the damage that the Portuguese league's reputation has for strikers. Now, our number 9, who scored 5 goals this season,
in the Champions League, Tom, and he's done it internationally as well.
Nunes done it in the Champions League. We bought Nunes because he done it in the Champions League as well.
Are we missing like the elephant in the room here? Does anyone think that PSG get him because of Luis Campos and how many players he's signed from the Portuguese league? Is that just an obvious?
Well, they've done the same as Nunes.
Then I want Gonzalez Ramos then because he's an absolute bagsman as well.
He's just another Nunes. No, he's the other striker that caused massive damage to the striker market from Portugal.
There was 3 of them. There was 3 strikers who all left pretty much like within a year of each other that done irreparable damage to the striker market. It was Gonzalo Ramos, it was Darwin Núñez, and it was Randall Kolo Muani.
And what about Torrini as well?
He's been a batsman this year as well.
Kolo Muani.
Juventus. He's been a batsman this year for Juventus.
Wait, who was Muani at, Tom? Because I thought he was at Frankfurt.
Yeah, he was at Frankfurt and got a 90 million move to PSG.
Oh, I thought you meant it did irreparable damage to the Portuguese league.
No, I'm just going on the striker market in general. Hence why we're talking about Benjamin Sesko with his 14 league goals going for 90 million.
Yeah, I think you're right. PSG would be a really good option because they don't have a top class central number 9. At the same time, and maybe it's about them having a wider arsenal of players. they play really well with that kind of fluidness where Dembele can drop left, can go right. And does Gyokeres fit into that? Would it? Because I think they look best when they don't have a number 9 on the pitch, if that makes sense. They look fluid. It reminds me, Double A, of our attack with Rooney, Ronaldo, and Tevez. It has that feel to it. He would change that. I like Gyokeres a lot, but he would stop them from being as fluid. He could be an option, but again, I'm making an argument for the other side. Gyokeres is not going anywhere to be an option. He's going somewhere to be the main number 9, and that's my only thing with PSG. I look at it and think they look their best without a number 9. So is that the option? But listen, I don't think United have got a good chance of signing him. I've still got a sneaky feeling he'll be in the Premier League, but I want us to try. Like we don't get Delap. We end up with someone like Gyokeres because of circumstance. I don't give a shit on the reasoning. I don't care. I just want someone that's going to put balls in the back of the net.
What crazy world?
That's like Joel up a tree. If you miss out on the lap and get Gyokeres, have you fell up there?
At the end of the day, it's disingenuous to say Man United definitely can't get him because they are still Man United. They do have that pull. All this, they can't attract anyone. They're a dead club. Gyokeres might buy into the project and think he wants to be part of bringing them back to how they used to be. You don't know.
Do you think that pool's shrinking though a little bit though, Kate? Because I always thought that too, and then the fact that they didn't get Delap, that shocked me. I thought that was nailed on.
He's a young kid and he wants to play in the Champions League. I get it, and a lot of players are, do want to play in the Champions League, and I get that as well. But I still think Man United are one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Didn't Gyokeres actually say if I'm not going to a club that isn't in the Champions League? Pretty sure he said that in an interview. Yeah,
no, he has. And that's why I don't think we've got a great chance of getting him on a real level. I'm just saying, if the circumstances that are coming out, if Arsenal move away, if Liverpool won't sign a player that age, and I'm going by what some of the panelists said, so this isn't my
thought. End up with Ekitike.
If Chelsea are saying it's too expensive on the wages, then what are we sitting there with our cocks in our hand for? Try and get him. That's the thing for me.
Isn't Ekitike a Man United supporter, Terry?
No idea. No idea. Nav here says our wage cap has gone up by 20% pay rise. Trigger the 60. Give him 130k a week. Now, look, I think Gyokeres is gonna want £200,000+ a week to play anywhere. He ain't going anywhere, in my opinion, for less than 250k a week because of the amount of goals he scored. So he's going to be expensive in that.
And
regard.
his age, Terry. This is his big contract.
This is it. Right? Yes, he hasn't got room for 3 years' time for a pay rise. Yeah. He needs that big money. And as the brilliant David Brent once said, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you if you want Gyokeres. This here says, it's not that I don't like Sesko, it's just the risk of going for someone like Sesko over Gyokeres is frustrating. Win now or players will leave soon. Double A, do you understand that frustration or concern from Gooners when they say that?
Yeah, I think so. I think Sesko, for me, it doesn't massively excite me, but maybe it's a player that I've not ever wanted at United, so maybe that's the case. But I just think Gyokeres is the one. It's just how someone's not already snapped him up this quick. I do not know. And like we're saying, if he has no options, maybe United is the only place for him to go. He said he wants Champions League, but there's no Champions League clubs for him. What else is he going to do if he wants to come and test himself in a top 5 league? I think we might be the only club that can offer him that in terms of the Premier League. I think Arsenal should be. I really do not understand how Arsenal haven't sorted this track for 60 million and for what he could offer them. I think he's everything that they need. Just top class striker.
I think Gyokeres is better, but I think Sesko actually suits Arsenal better than Gyokeres. He's taller. He tends to play better off of players like Saka and Havertz rather than go in and take up the space where they play. I just think he's a better choice for them, and I think it develop there, but I also get if they don't win now, the likes of Saliba are going to be looking. So do they have the time to wait until it develops to be that good? I don't know.
For the price as well, Kate, do you not think it'd be another Haaland with the price as well?
It could be. I mean, the price is
so much on him, putting so much on his shoulders so young. We've seen it. So many strikers come and flop because of that price tag. I just think it's a big risk.
It was valued originally, I think, about 65 million. It's just gone up and up and up and up. And
it's ridiculous money. Arsenal could have signed Sesko for 50 million on a clause, and they didn't, and now they're paying double. God, absolute madness.
I've just never seen it with Sesko, I'll be honest.
Same guy.
No, I agree.
Everything I see with Sesko is like what I saw when we were looking at Nunes. Sesko doesn't finish. Sesko hits the ball. He doesn't finish.
Yeah, but the only thing I would say,
He just puts his laces through it every time.
Benjamin Sesko is a much better striker of the ball than Nunes. He hits the ball. Again, you can find you'll be able to find comps of him messing things up because that exists for R9, that exists for Messi, but he hits a ball. He's got a very clean strike of the ball, Sesko, which Darwin, in fairness to Darwin Nunes, though, when he was at Benfica, he was hitting the ball a lot better than he was when he came to Liverpool. And that's about handling the pressure. And but you can't just do those comparisons, though. I get why you're doing it, but football doesn't always work. Like some people go up a level when they move to a higher level. You see it I see it in fighting all the time. There could be a guy that's he's a good fighter at Bellator. He's come to the UFC. Can he handle it? And they almost up their game. They talk about people that could become champions, fighters. Most athletes who become a champion and win a medal, they often say there's something like a 10 to 15% increase for a 2 to 3 year period in their output, the amount of fights they win or races they win. Football teams sort of do this. So sometimes getting that move to a bigger stage can help someone. Other times, like Nunes, I think it could make you shrink. And the only thing I won't give an opinion on is I don't know what his psyche's like. I don't know enough about him. Does that make sense? But there's certainly a player in there. You know, there's a player in there. I still think they should. I get where Kate's coming from. I still think Arsenal should be going for Victor Gyokeres. I think he's such a phenomenal striker. I really do.
Gyokeres has everything. You could give Gyokeres any sort of chance, and you could back him to score. Benjamin Sesko. Whenever I've watched him, I've never had any confidence with him when the ball's in the box. He's not this kind of fox. He's not this guy who, if the ball drops, I think he's going to finish it. He's not this guy who, if he's battling away with defenders, he's gonna find, by any way or shape, get his foot on the ball and score. Sesko is inconsistent.
But he's 21.
He is,
but he's only got 13 goals this season. They've not even made Europe, Leipzig.
The thing that gets me is that there's a big part of his game which I just don't. For a striker, you need to be able to finish, and Benjamin Sesko hasn't shown me a good enough level of finishing yet.
And the bigger picture to this as well.
He signed for Leipzig, and they've sacked 3 managers since he's been.
I think the bigger picture for Arsenal as well. They need a striker to come in and win them something. I think they're in that danger zone now. I think Arteta's in his last season. If you don't win anything, he's gone. I think on the risk that on a 21-year-old who scored again, similar to Delap, scored 13 goals. So. Is he moving the needle to get them over the line? And not just in the league. They need to take the League Cup.
I think you said it best, Kate, as well. William Saliba's not going to sit there with Real Madrid sniffing around going, I'll give Sesko 3 years to figure it out.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what's wild as well, Kate? Someone's just put in the chat. What about Gyokeres going to Tottenham? Tottenham in the Champions League. Like, no one's talking about Tottenham.
He wants to win stuff.
Why isn't anyone talking about Tottenham signing big players? They're in the Champions League and they got money.
Yeah, well, that would be a dream, but we know Daniel Levy don't tend to work that way. But I'm not saying anything about that. But I was just going to say Sesko's 6'5" as well, so it'd be great for Arsenal with their set pieces, and he's better in defence as well than Gyokeres. But look, I hope whoever they buy, whichever one they want, is a flop. So, but I just personally think Sesko is better for Arsenal. But it's how long it's going to take him to get them over the line.
And this is the thing for me as well, though, right? So, hang on a minute. Plattenberger's just tweeted something as well. What's it saying? Arsenal, Benjamin Sesko, deal on. Arteta wants him. And this is the thing. I think there's 1 or 2 things here that are going to come out. And this is why I think Bert's doing a good job for Arsenal so far in terms of, seems like he's here, there, and everywhere, talking to people, trying to work on deals. It feels like 1 of 2 things. Mikel Arteta has got his way and has convinced the club Sesko is the man to make the football I'm trying to play work best. I think that's a good thing in the sense of there's nowhere to go. If he comes in and scores 8 league goals and you don't win the league or you're not winning trophies, there's nowhere for that man to go. He's almost sort of like signed his own redundancy in that way. But to this super chat from Ahmed, maybe the reason they've now gone for Sesko is because they've been told by Gyokeres, look, he loved the offers, but actually a bigger team or a team that's close to it, maybe a PSG, maybe a Liverpool, maybe a Real Madrid has come in for Gyokeres. We just don't know about it yet. And Arsenal have had to shift gears. So I always think it's important sometimes to wait for the dust to settle before people lose their minds. A bit like us, Double A. Can you imagine the United fans getting mad today over the Delap, and then there's a here we go tomorrow morning for Gyokeres? It's a very hypothetical. You'd sit there and go, oh, actually, that's why I'm waiting till the end of the window before I lose my shit with Ineos, because I'll be honest with you, I just don't want the clips out there of me.
There'll be people who moan anyway.
I'm being cautious.
There'll be people who moan about that anyway, though, because they go, "Why was Delap our top target over Gyokeres? Why did we want Delap over Gyokeres?"
But do you not think Ineos have really got to clear out the deadwood first to generate money to be able to spend and then mop up the crumbs that are left at the end of the transfer window?
That's also it. That's also it. But equally, though, this is why again I look at Gyokeres as a market opportunity, because he's available for 55 million. That's 25 million pounds more than Delap. If we had the cash to do that outright, we could I'm happy for the club to take a risk of spending an extra 25 million now to get a deal like that secured, get the contract done, and then sell some players later. I also think it makes it easier to sell players when you bring a player like Gyokeres in, because you're saying, look, he's a really good attacker, but we've just got someone that's better now. But look, we'll see with this one. I've got a few super chats here before I bring up a tweet I want to get your opinions on, guys. Why would Arsenal pay 93 million pounds when he has a release clause of 75 million euros? It's a really good question. I don't have the answer. I'm sure the panel don't.
Probably
I'm only going
bonuses as well, I would say.
I'm pretty sure his release clause expired.
Yeah, there might be an expiry.
Something along those lines. 51 million in January, and Arsenal didn't do it, but they'll pay double now.
Yeah. Wayne here says Sesko's conversion rate is 29% and overperforms his XG by 5.98. We have to be. We're going to be. You know what? Where we have to be fair as a panel is you man didn't want Ekitike because he underperformed his XG. The man's overperforming his XG. That's a positive, right?
But right, Terry, hear me out on this.
Okay,
Ekitike has underperformed his XG and got over 20 goals. He's overperformed his XG by 6 and got 13 in the league.
See, again, this is how everyone reads it. I agree. It's a great
also
pushback.
like Cunha, by the way.
But I look at it this way, though. I look at it this way. Will Arsenal create more goal scoring opportunities than Leipzig?
Probably. Yeah,
and I think that's what again.
Also, they probably play with two strikers, don't they, as well, Leipzig, compared to Arsenal will only play with one. Because the Pender's been playing. So.
It's a very good challenge. Also recognize that Leipzig is one of the least creative teams in the entire Bundesliga statistically. He's doing what he's doing in an awful situation. Yeah, put like our little, as I say to anyone who's watching from Napoli, just like our Rasmus, if you guys create for him, he'll score you loads of goals. I promise.
But do you not think the beauty of a striker in the Premier League is one that can make something out of nothing? Like that's the ones that really sort of grab the attention in the Premier. I feel like Isak's that type of player.
Well, Isak is that kind of player. That's why I actually like, and I'm not saying we're getting them. It's why I like the links to Gyokeres and Mbeumo's and Cunha's. They score loads of goals that are not tap-ins and one-on-one. They score a lot of goals where they drop a shoulder, beat a man, and bury it. Delap will bring that to Chelsea. A lot of his goals are not exactly, the kids will say high XG. They're, it's him, edge of the box, drops a shoulder. And
he was in the bottom 40th percentile for passes received, Delap. So all of his goals, by like a very few amount, have been through his own self.
Yeah. What is the point of Berta? Look, we'll see. I don't. Again, I would say if I was an Arsenal fan right now, I'd say relax a little bit to begin with. Having said that, there's been a lot of Arsenal fans who haven't wanted Gyokeres this whole time, and I'm only going by when we've done the stories on him that have come out, and we're only reporting what the media is saying and getting opinions. I would say a good 40% of the Arsenal fans that have commented on our videos have been like, I don't really want Gyokeres. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like the other. A lot wanted Sesko. So there'll be some that are disappointed. There'll be some Arsenal fans that will be happy with this. Depends on what side. No Europe and Cunha is joining us. The pool is still there, is what Ronnie says. Nav just says because Spurs are shit. No offense, is what Nav says here. YF me is what Kate's saying. When I saw a midfielder have better attributes as a striker than Rasmus, I knew he was cooked. We splashed 77 million on a 10 goal player based off one season, and everybody is shocked by this. We need to buy on guarantee. Oh yeah, it was close to agreed, Joshua Jack, as close to a guarantee as possible. Joining late, is today the panel open for people who want to be joining? When I do the phone-in shows during the day, like earlier, that's when they're open. Like top 6 shows and straight fact shows are closed panel. But match reactions, the done deal shows, when I just go live randomly, they're always open for call-ins, my bro. But thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Which is why I came here from Carefree Lewis's chat. Big up Carefree Lewis. Hope you are well. Confused by the Sesko hate. The talent is unquestionable. He has improved every year. People are focused on Gyokeres' numbers instead of the full play. As I say, there's quite a lot of Arsenal fans that think like this as well.
The thing is, though, you have that full play striker in Havertz, and all I hear is he doesn't score enough goals, meaning a striker who scores goals. All you're doing with Sesko is getting another guy who does the same things as Havertz for like a marginal goal increase, and go, I'll be hearing the same issues next year. Why is my striker not scoring enough goals? The reason people are going on about Gyokeres is because we were told by Arsenal fans, look at how many chances we create and no one puts them in the back of the net. Let's go buy someone who puts them in the back of the net. It's not like we were sitting there this year going, you know what Arsenal need? They need their striker to link up. That's what their striker doesn't do. He doesn't link up. No, he does. That's all their striker does. So they obviously need someone to put the ball in the net. That's why I'm confused about the Sesko one, because Sesko doesn't do that good enough.
You know why they signed a Sesko, though? Because Arteta needs players that are malleable. He needs players that he can control. Like, he takes so much flair out of those players and so much of what they're really good at. And, you know, he'll only last another year for me.
This was the first news that came out like 20 minutes ago. See if it's true. Something to do with the agent pulling out an Arsenal. Well, it's interesting that you've said that Chelsea and the Gyokeres deal, and now Arsenal were looking at Sesko. This is what I would say about people just jumping to the conclusion that Arteta has changed Berta's mind. I think it's fair. What could have happened is that Chelsea have changed Gyokeres' mind, and now Arsenal are forced. And that's why I think, look, banter is fair, and I get fans want to do it. But I think it's important to wait for the dust to kind of settle. I know that it didn't work out for Liverpool, but when Liverpool signed Darwin Núñez, Man United was so close to getting that deal done. There were so many journalists in Portugal and in England that were saying everyone feels like it's going to happen. Then Liverpool came in and turned his head, and it doesn't make all those stories prior fake. Like, we have to be. I think we have to be more mindful of that as fans. We really, really do. The football. Listen, Ali, I've seen your diss track, 40 odd seconds. The problem is with your diss track, bro, you never show your face. You know, you're too embarrassed to show your face, and why? But it is funny. And like I said, I will repost all your opinions on the Clips channel that you got right, like Isak being a very good player, like Dembele being brilliant. If you start to repost and share all the crazy things you said about Mohamed Salah not being anywhere near the level of Eden Hazard, like you saying Eden Hazard would have a bigger impact at Real Madrid than Ronaldo and Bale combined. If you want to, like I say, the only reason I deleted that video was to wind you up, and it's worked because you've done a diss track, brother, is because you only share your W's. You ignore the 1,000 L's that you put out there, my friend. So share the L's, and I'll repost it.
The chunks now.
I would rather get Mbeumo and Mateta, to be honest. In reality, a lot of people are talking about Mateta. With Double A, would you be a player that, you know, or Liverpool, would Mateta be a striker that Liverpool United should be looking at?
No, United can look at him. I'm all right, you know.
I think that's our level. That's our level, Mateta. And Liverpool should be looking at Mateta nowhere near.
I hear that.
Being in the conversation for them, they should be again. Gyokeres, obviously. Tom was saying Rodrygo as well, which I know. I was going to go back to that and say, I think it'd have to be this summer for Rodrygo for Liverpool, because I think them links to Juventus have started coming now, and I think
if he stays another year in Italy, he'll stay in Italy.
Yeah, I think if he goes to Juve this summer, he's going to stay there, isn't he? So
do you not reckon Mateta is the better? Oh, sorry, I thought you finished.
No, it's good. I'm finished.
I thought. I honestly think Mateta is a better striker than Sesko. Like, if I was an Arsenal fan and Gyokeres is like off the table, I would much rather Mateta be coming in. I feel like instantly he's going to score you 15 to 20 goals, and I just don't think that guarantee's there with Sesko.
Lower risk for Arsenal.
Isn't he like the third highest goal scorer behind Salah and
last two seasons, Mateta's been top 5 in the Prem as a striker for sure. I honestly, I think a number of teams would benefit from having Mateta up front than taking the risk and paying like 80 million to go and get one of these continental strikers who.
I personally think Glasner's going to do a Brighton with Crystal Palace. I think they're going to end up like where Brighton are, like in 6th, 7th, 8th position. from now on.
Yeah.
And they've got loads of money as well, Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it'll be if
genuinely
Palace can
believe
hold on to
they're
Glasner.
going somewhere.
Actually, I think Glasner is becoming a bit more of a hotter commodity, especially in Germany.
Yeah.
I think teams are really starting to look at him, and I think it's whether or not they can hold on to him.
I hear that quite a few Chelsea fans have been sending me DMs during the show saying that Simon Phillips has stated that Chelsea have made an approach today for Victor Gyokeres, and I think that's also why. Again, I also see Hassam and the guys in that group chat. What's the point of Berta? I get that there is a proclivity to want to like shit on Arsenal, which is fine. Do knock yourself out. It's not nothing to do with me. But let's wait and see why. Because if it turns out that Gyokeres had his head turned by Chelsea and that's why Arsenal are going for Sesko, that's nothing to do with Berta being controlled by Arteta. But we will see. We will see. Nunez 1 season scoring record, but Gyokeres 2 seasons. This is true. Yeah, he done it for 2 seasons. I think that's really a really good point. Does this Sesko news say Arteta has a power over Berta? Personally, very dissatisfied with Sesko. It could do. I think we've touched on this, Danny. It could mean that he has more power, but we have to wait and see. Listen, if there's a here we go in an hour's time for Arsenal for Sesko and Gyokeres, and it turns out that at the last minute he changed from Arsenal to Chelsea. If Man United have been working on this deal silently and it happens, if these things come to fruition, then yes, then no, it isn't on that. If it turns out that Arsenal done the personal terms, been working with Sporting, and then at the same time, Arteta has been convincing him and has changed his mind and got Sesko, then you can ask that question. I think you've got to wait for the news to come out. People won't. They'll make up what they think the reason is. But I think Arsenal fans should wait personally. United is like the old man that thinks he can go out and still party and pull the young 21-year-old women. They are slowly getting smaller. If you think that, maybe there's an element of truth to that. Maybe. Sorry, we've done that super chat here. That's why
you just want to bring that up again, did you?
Yeah, no, I think it's a mistake. About Spurs, you ain't done enough in the league to turn big players' heads. Havertz doesn't strike the ball anywhere near Sesko. I agree.
It's the finishing. Sesko can hit the ball well if it falls him outside the box, but I'm on about the moments where it drops to him in the box, where it's not about how hard you hit the ball. It's about, do you have the composure to pick out the corner? Sesko doesn't. Sesko's one-on-one finishing, Sesko's in the box finishing isn't great. He scores a couple of screamers because he does hit the ball really well. There's very few players in his position that hit the ball better than him when he connects with it sweetly. But that's not what wins you league titles. What wins you league titles is those tight games where the chance falls in the box. Sesko's not going to be the difference maker.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
That's why Nunez has been really poor.
Tony here says Mateta, like Solanke, slaps for mid-table teams. Unless you're signing a top player from another top team, you can't guarantee shit. There is truth in that. There is truth in that.
I don't know if there is, Terry. I don't know if there's proof that he won't perform for a top team. He scored two seasons in a row. He scored 14 and 16 Premier League goals. I just don't know.
I read that. I read it as, unless you're signing someone who's scoring 30, 40 goals, one of the best teams in the world, nothing's a guarantee. And Mateta could definitely score goals for a bigger side. There's no doubt about it. I think the only guarantees you have in life are when you have players like Haaland's, where they're scoring so many goals. And that's what I think about Gyokeres. 97 goals in 103 games. I know it's Portugal, but it's an astronomical level of goals. I just see it continuing to some degree, where when someone's scoring 20 goals here, 20 goals there, you think they might go on to score 20 or 30 for my club, but they could also dip down. It's not an ungodly amount of goals is how I read that. But yeah, Mateta could definitely do it. He's very talented. Evening, I think Man United not in Europe will be a good thing. 1 game a week gives your manager time to work with the team.
It's bollocks. It's bollocks.
Really? I kind of agree with that. I think that's like the Antonio Conte syndrome.
Slot came in and won the league with Liverpool. It didn't need time to adjust.
That's only Slot. That's one of the best managers of a generation.
So therefore, for me, then if Ruben Amorim needs to have 1 game a week to make it work, he shouldn't be at the club. Then that's
Antonio Conte's done that, hasn't he? And gone and won at Napoli and Chelsea and other teams he's been at where he's not been in European competition and he's gone and won. Yeah. Like, if Amorim wins,
Conte's an enigma though. When's Conte lasted more than 2 years in any club?
He wins everywhere he goes, Tom, and that's what United want to do.
But the bigger
United
problem,
can't do that though. United can't be having that mindset right now. That United
And
can't be sitting there going, "I want to win right now." They are 15th.
Shit, yeah. But the bigger problem for United,
biggest
is
problem
one
with
game a
United-
week is the 150
The biggest
million that we
problem-
miss out
oh,
next season.
Okay,
That
but
we'll-
hear me
how
out,
skint we
today,
are.
right? Ruben Amorim has stated that results in the Premier League would drop off because of the focus around Europa League, the season that's just finished. Like,
Well,
if he's
that-
allowed
that's a
to
problem
only
then.
solely focus on that and implement this style to a group of players that have obviously shown they're so far away from the style that he's trying to implement, I think it will be the best thing for United not having that distraction at all.
But the fact that we had some amazing, well, I say amazing, some decent performances in Europa League and can never you can't put it down to the fact it was a game in midweek. Therefore, we were getting worse and worse in the league as the season went on.
Yeah, do you
Like,
think
if
he was
you
taking his focus
You only
away
lost
from
one
the
game
league,
in the
though,
Europa
because of
League.
the Euro?
And that was the final.
Either his
exactly.
system and the Manchester United players suit the continental style of football better, or he just completely took his foot off the
It's
ball in
not
the
the
Prem
players.
to focus on Europa League.
The players. It's not the players are shit. The players need to go. That's what we need to do. We need to get rid
Okay,
of,
so then,
I'd
right,
keep
then
five,
if
I'd
you
keep
get
5 of the
rid,
players.
say you get rid of 5 to 10 players this summer, and he has to implement a culture, the new style of play to these players that are arriving, let everyone settle in. He's got longer recovery periods, more time on the training pitch. I think it's the best thing that can happen for Amorim.
In that aspect, yes. If that all happens, which it won't, because he's even come out and said we're going to suffer in the market. We can't do what he needs them to do. So I assume the majority of that squad is all going to stay next season, and now we are in trouble because they clearly can't do what they need him to do.
And just out of interest, guys, we haven't got too long left. I've got some more super chats to get through. I'm loving the conversation because I'm live somewhere else at 8:00. Viewers, I know we were going to talk on the Henry situation. We're going to move that to straight facts tomorrow. I've not got time to go into that because, listen, you viewers are great. You're so generous. You're so amazing with your super chats, and it ends up taking up more of the show than we allocate for it. But of course, this is your show, so hope you guys can all understand. Evening, I think Man United are not in Europe. Oh, sorry, we've done that super chat. Chelsea using Gyokeres links to bring in Gyokeres. Well, this is what's interesting because Dan also follows this up by saying, not sure Chelsea will sign Gyokeres. I think Delap and Ekitike is more likely. Fab says that Liverpool and both are still in contact with him, which is true. That's who they're put in links with right now. Michael Edwards versus Berta. Who does the panel think will win the transfer war, or will City sneak it?
Someone's spending 120 million quid on Florian Wirtz. The other one's spending 100 million quid on Benjamin Sesko.
We're winning.
I think there's only one winner in that situation.
We basically signed the Trent replacement, like for buttons, like 6 million a year for 4 years. Like, honestly, the amount of groundwork we've done on these players that we're getting in is just insane. Like,
Absolutely.
apparently we've been in contact with Wirtz for the last 2 years. Like, that's come out now. So
I hear.
we've been doing the groundwork.
Why is everyone certain Chelsea will sign 2 strikers? Because it's been very credibly reported, though, isn't it? Simon Phillips, Fabrizio Romano. So it's not about us being. This is the thing, right? I know that this. I want to defend the football YouTube community, especially the ones like myself and Goldbridge. Saeed does these shows now. When you're reacting to the news, you report on the news and then you give your opinions on it. It's not about us saying they're going to get 2. We're reacting to what the people in the know are saying, and then we give our opinions on it. But at least 7 different credible journalists have said they're looking at 2 strikers. So I think it's a fair bet to say they're looking at 2 strikers. Is Gyokeres waiting for United's financial year to reset? That'd be more Man United waiting. But again, there is truth in that. But I still think we should take the risk. Sesko profiles like Isak before Newcastle. That's why they want him. Doesn't really care who we buy. But it's not on the manager to get them to. But it's on the manager to get them to perform. Either striker the manager will live and die by.
If you want a baby Isak, you get Ekitike though, because he profiles even more like him.
But he underperforms his XG, and Sesko doesn't.
It's 2 pieces of the pod. Neither of them are good. It's which one do you want?
You know,
he's also got a release clause, by the
change
way.
their tune depending on what team's linked to a player. You notice that, everyone. See that there? You expose yourself, Tom. You expose yourself. Delap and Gyokeres are similar profiles. Chelsea might prefer Delap and Ekitike to vary it up. Again, I hope that's true.
With that. I think Delap and Gyokeres definitely clash in terms of profile.
Good point. Brandon's just joined us. I assume to react to the Sesko news. How happy are you about your potential new £90 million striker?
Oh, phenomenal, Tel. Can't wait. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't really care. Whoever the manager gets or whoever gets given to the manager, it doesn't matter because the rule's still the same. There is no excuses for next season, none at all. If you decide to spend £90 million on Sesko and that's your guy, then you better get him to perform on the pitch. The same as if you decide, like with Zubamendi, for example, you better get him to perform on the pitch. He better bring something different to this team. He better be able to, help carry this side. I am a little worried, I ain't going to lie, because if we're going down that route, for me, Gyokeres is definitely the more preferable, as you pointed out yourself, with the goal scoring record, speaks for itself. And I think he's the player who's ready to go now. Whereas Sesko, he's a bit more of a project player, might take a little bit of time, to settle himself in. Maybe he's got a higher ceiling. I've heard a lot of Arsenal fans talking about him potentially having a higher ceiling. I don't really care, Tel. It's not, what Arsenal decide to do in the transfer window has no effect on the pressure that is on the manager for next season, and he has to deliver next season. A little worried, like I say, though, because I'm hearing certain things like, Rodrygo potentially available, potentially on the market, and there's rumours coming out that Arsenal don't want to pay him 200 grand a week, but we're happy to pay Kai Havertz 280 grand a week. So, if things like that are true, then that is worrying because you've got a player there who has the potential to come in and make a huge difference to this side, a winner, and you don't want to pay him 200 bags a week, but you're giving Kai Havertz 280. Like that makes sense. So I think it's too early to judge what Arsenal are doing in the transfer market because transfer market ain't even open. But what I would say is I'm seeing other clubs signing players or making moves for players that we should at least be in the conversation for. I'll name one right now. Liverpool are more than likely to sign Wirtz. I think we should have at least been in the conversation for that. Not saying that we should have signed him, but we should have at least been in the conversation because let's be honest, it's not just Arsenal get a striker and that solves all of our problems. We need a lot more than that as well. And Arteta himself has said about how the best team in the market or the best in the market is the ones that's likely to be more successful. It's all about getting the better players. So why are we not in the conversation for these players? So I can only hope and pray that Arsenal have something up their sleeve. But worrying times, and it's not just because of us either. Like I said, other teams are moving now. Liverpool are not resting on their laurels. They've won the league. They're going out. They're making moves now. I think Chelsea as well, right? People play it down about Chelsea. I heard Dan Potts on the show the other day talking about how Chelsea are embarrassing for celebrating top four. But I think them celebrating top four and getting Champions League football as well as winning the Conference League yesterday also sparks bad news for Arsenal, really, because they've got Champions League football. That's what players want to attract them to Champions League football, so they can go out now. They can attract the top players. We know their owners will spend money as well, but also they've got a squad there that has been given to Maresca, which they've spent a lot of money on, and they've proven now that they can win together, which is something that Arsenal haven't done with this squad. The last player to have represented Arsenal in the FA Cup final when Mikel Arteta won it was Kieran Tierney, and he's leaving this summer. So we haven't shown as a team yet that we can win. We've got other teams around us that are showing that they can win with the players that they've got, and they're only going to get better as well. And we're watching other teams making moves early in the market while we're kind of dilly-dallying about which striker do we want, which one don't we want. I don't care. Just go and get somebody, but perform next season. You have to do something, otherwise you're out.
No, I think a lot of Arsenal fans would agree with a lot of what you're saying there. It's a little bit too early to judge. Don't know all the reasons and rhymes and rationales. Someone just sent me a link from Fabrizio from about 2 weeks ago that spoke about Man United being in for Gyokeres at that, in for him, and as a player we're looking at, and sort of alluded to Champions League may play a part in it. Chelsea links into him today, so maybe this has happened because you missed out on him, and that And I know Arsenal fans won't give a damn about other clubs, and I understand that to a certain degree. At the same time, you're not out here in the market just shopping for yourself. I think it's about waiting and seeing what you buy in totality and then how they look. We've done this a lot. How many times have we sat there and gone, oh, this team's won the transfer window, and then they've been shit the following season? So I think there's also most rivals bigged up what Man United did last summer. I remember, United moving like a big club. Look at the players. We finished 15th. I remember the fanfare that West Ham got last season. Look at the business they've done. Awful campaign. So I do agree with you, Brandon. You've got to wait for the window to open, see where the dust settles. Let's see how teams actually look next season with these signings. But I do get the concern that people have. If the story is true that Berta's been told what to do by Arteta, I kind of get why people are miffed by that. Wayne here says, wait, Arsenal are signing Zubimendi, being linked to top players, but Arsenal not in the conversation. For fuck's sake, make it stop.
Yeah, but Zubimendi, that whole news about Zubimendi, that came about in January. That's not new news. That's something that we knew about for time. Like, that deal should or was already wrapped up back in January, according to the sources. You know what I mean? So we should be moving on to our next targets now. Do you know what I mean? And it's all right saying about Zubimendi, but like with Zubimendi as well, nobody really knows how much he improves this Arsenal midfield. And this will bring me to a quick point about Man United as well. Everybody talking about Man United and finishing 15th. I don't know why certain clubs haven't looked at the way that Jurgen Klopp rebuilt the Liverpool side, right? Jurgen Klopp predominantly shopped in the Premier League. He brought the best players that were available from the teams that are not so good, the mid-table teams. I think Man United should do that. They should shop in the Premier League because there's a higher percentage of players succeeding at your club because they're already playing in that league. Rather than going and dropping 50, 60, 70, 80 million pound on players that play in foreign leagues, they need time to settle in. Just go and buy the best players that are available in the Premier League now, that you can get your hands on.
The market's different with the Premier League now, though, because every Premier League club gets a lot of money. So, but not say he didn't get much money back then, but now the amount of money a Premier League club gets if they're in the league for 2 to 3 years, which is typically at what point you buy the player because they've shown it for 2 to 3 years, they don't need to sell anyone. So they can sit there and ask for 70, 80 million at that point.
Yeah, but to be fair to United, Tom, they're after Liam Delap, whose budget is around 30 million.
That was a decent one.
I think Manchester United DNA is to buy the best talent available in the Premier League. I think that's what made them the team they were.
We've not done it for a long time.
I think it's part of what made Manchester United great, isn't it? It was
where I agree with Brandon again. It's something that a lot of our links this summer, a lot of the players we're linked to are from that. You're always going to get players from abroad. Fergie did that, but you think about strikers, and Gyokeres is an outlier because of the numbers. But we went and got Andy Cole. We went and got Van Persie. We went and signed Teddy Sheringham, and there's others. Dwight York. There's loads of these players we went and bought, and Berbatov. Yeah, and I think that there is something in that, and that's why I'm encouraged by the links to the Mbeumo's, the Cunhas as an example, because they're in the Prem, they know the league, they've got the physicality for it. And again, if we were to land those two, I know we need number 9, but I honestly think between the two of them, they could score 30, 35 goals in the Prem next year for us, and that's what we need. We are so shy of goals. Ladies and gentlemen,
what I will say is there's one striker that no one's talking about that is definitely available. João Pedro. He's leaving Brighton. Like, where's that guy going to go? I thought he was nailed on for Chelsea.
Teams don't need a penalty taker. They don't need a penalty taker. His open play goals are horrendous.
I hear that. Listen, I want to thank everybody that has tuned in. I want to thank Dan and Kate, Brandon who joined us late, Double A, Tom and Chris for joining the show. Please hit the like and the share button before you leave. Of course, viewers, you're the stars of the show. I want to thank everyone who super chatted, all of our members, everyone who's hit the like button so far. Thank you very much for being here. We're back tomorrow with more content. I'm live at 8 p.m. on the United stand, talking about Mbeumo, talking Gyokeres, talking about the disappointment of missing out on Delap. So if you're a United fan and want to join me there, get yourselves across. If not, this is redirecting you to Hassam's channel, so go and support my brother over there. Until next time, everybody, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon. Peace.